All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Gearbusters podcast. Tonight is going to be a little bit different. We are using a remote streaming platform to link our guests together tonight through, I think it's called StreamYard. I think that it's either going to be in this corner, maybe it's in that corner, but there should be a little logo there that you'll be able to see. But tonight's episode is going to be a little bit different. We have two guests on. I'm going to bring on tonight, we're going to have Lucas Moses with Ghostface Racing, and we're also going to have Mike Carr from American Veteran Racing Organization. We're going to talk about some stuff with Rally. We're going to talk about AVRO and just kind of have a good old conversation. Don't really have a set thing, but I'll ask a couple questions here and there. So let me bring these guys in here and we'll get started. All right, so we are here. Like you said, we got Lucas Moses with Ghostface Racing and Mike Carr from AVRO with us tonight. So a quick story here, how I met everybody. Lucas I met at Over Mountain Rally back in September of 24 there in Tennessee. Watched him go down through the stages, got some pretty cool footage of his car. And, all I had at the time was just my cell phone. So, it was a little not the greatest, but, it was a nice way to get some content out for guys. And Lucas got a hold of me and we gave him some content, things like that. So it was really cool. We kind of got connected after that and, been following each other's channels for a little bit here. And recently Lucas has now been connected with AVRO and all of the stuff that Mike's doing. I met Mike through another organization. We kind of had some discussions and some various talks, and he started talking about some of his stuff and the things that he was looking to do and the drive behind that. And that's kind of where our conversations have kind of started, and we've had a lot more. And that's kind of led to all of the different things that you've seen lately here with us at Drop the Gear Industries. But before we get into all of the cool stuff with AVRO, I just wanted to touch base here and kind of, introduce you guys to Lucas, who, like I said, with Ghostface Racing. So Lucas, take it away and, give us a little bit of a bio, why you're into racing, what got you into it, stuff like that, and maybe just a couple goals for 25.
Cool. So my racing branches back from when I was very young. I started watching Rally in probably 2005, which was like the last year of SCCA Pro Rally. I was very young, but that's what kind of got me hooked on cars. I remember watching Anton Lestage go about the stages of America, and I was hooked. And then Rally America took over. I was introduced, I think, about 2008 to David Higgins and Ken Block and Travis Pastrana and DC Shoes and everything. So from there, I was a big fan of DC Shoes. I was a big fan of Ken Block, as everyone would be. I remember watching those guys battle it out throughout the years. And that kind of got me hooked as a Rally fan. That really lit a fire under me when I was very young. A lot of people that I know now, I knew from when I was a kid. The Concha family, William Petra, I knew from when I was a kid. Rostafab, knew him when I was a kid. Just a lot of these people that I knew from as a kid that are helping me out today. And really that Rally community that I was introduced to when I was a kid is really starting to flourish and benefit both their end and my end. Really, the person that got me into the sport was my dad. He was a co-driver back in, I think, competitive. Like he competed in, I think it was 2018 in a Porsche as a co-driver, and then he competed before that with Frank Cunningham in a Mark II GTI, and I'll get to the significance of that in a second. But I think that was back in '86 when STPR was still doing water crossings. I got the bug, and then there was a lot of inspirations along the way. Ken Block being obviously one of the biggest. Rest in peace to the legend. So kind of give you an idea about Ghostface real quick. Ghostface started originally in 2022 with a Mark II GTI. So it originally started with a Mark II GTI. That project was aimed to debut 100 Acre Wood of 2022. That did not happen. STPR, we registered, we got there, and then there was ECU failure, and that also failed. to make that one, and then I just scrapped the project and then said we're going to start with this GD Subaru chassis that I picked up for super duper cheap. So we picked it up, and then I started thinking of a name. I was like, I need a name. I need a name to call this thing because I don't want to call it like Moses Motorsports or anything like that. I wanted to call it something. I wanted to call it something cool. And then I was like, well, what got me into racing? Because that's usually like the biggest thing of what somebody creates a name out of. And I was like, well, I mean, Ken Block got me into racing, but I can't like just steal his mojo, So I was like, but I can pick and choose some things. So I thought, why don't I take some of the biggest ideas that he had from when I knew him at the most, and then knew him at the most to be an inspiration to me. And then that's when I came up with the Ghost logo. The last time I ever saw him race was in a Hyundai i20, and he had a Ghost livery. And that's
Ghost.
That's where I got the name Ghostface Racing from. I was like, okay, that's the last time I ever saw this guy. And then the paint drip came from the paint bucket livery of the original Mark I Fiesta that he ran in the Oseberg OMSE setup. So that was a big thing for me as well. One of the first rally cars behind the Escort that he ever ran was the white snow camo GD Subaru, and that's what I run. So a lot of the inspirations came from that. And then obviously I tied it into Subaru by getting the number 74, wanted 75, but obviously it wasn't available. So I tied it in somehow to Subaru. And that's kind of where we are now. And then I started thinking about ways that Ghostface was going to thrive and flourish and be as a company, a business, a team. What am I going to do with this thing? Because obviously I can't just use it as a name and then do nothing with it besides race. And then I started thinking of things, and then just up out of the blue one day, Mike and I started talking. We officially met at STPR of 24, which was my first event. We officially met there, and then we started talking later down the road. I think it was like October, maybe. It was sometime after we met Matt at Over Mountain, and he started talking about some of the things that he wanted to do. And I was like, dude, this is a great idea. He came up with the idea of AVRO. At the time, I think it was named something else, but and then
didn't really have a name.
Yeah, he really didn't have a name for it yet. And then we were like, Mike we first talked. I think I was at work, and I think we talked on the phone for like an hour and a half about all this stuff. And I was like, I'm a veteran, or I'm currently serving. He served, and a lot of these groups of people get overlooked for help. And we have a passion for motorsports, and there's a ton of other people in the service, whether it's reserves, guard, active, that have the same passion, the same drive, but just don't know where to find it. And that is what Mike relayed to me as him trying to be the bridge of. And I was like, okay, this is a really good idea. I started looking into it some, and then I started looking at like how we make a 501c3 happen. How do we get the funding for it? How do we, branch and do other stuff? Well, I'm a very business oriented mind. And, Mike started coming at me with these ideas, and I was just like, okay, you've got these ideas, and here's how we do it. From there, AVRO became AVRO, and Mike is the biggest worker for it. And I can't really say anything about what he's done, but we will get to him soon. But I can say that for my plan with Ghostface and the plans that Mike has for AVRO will work to help AVRO and to help Ghostface simultaneously at the same time. For me, as 2025 is here, we are 2.5, almost like 3/4 of the month through February somehow, some way. I'm only probably looking at time does fly, man. I'm only looking at maybe like 1 or 2 events this year. I'm looking at 100 Acre Wood, probably the very last event that we run this year. is Hyperfest, and that's definitely one of the biggest places to put on a show. And then unfortunately, I have military obligations starting in June for about a year, so I will be back in full swing in 2026, probably about the summertime. 2026, once I go say hello to the family and hang out with them for a while. So
maybe we'll get to go head to head at an event or two.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, goes without saying, the support that I've had from my mom, just from my family in general, through this whole process. Even when the golf started or the GTI started, my mom has been a super big help through all this. I really can't think of anybody else that isn't my blood that hasn't been the support that she's given me for this. She's definitely been a big help from start to now, and I can only assume in the future. And I just remember one of the conversations that we had, rolling into STPR. I was rolling out of Park Expose, and I was going to my first stage, and she was like, "Keep it between the trees and on the road, please." And that's almost exactly how she said it. And obviously it wasn't word for word like that, but it was,
I think it's a mom's job to say those things.
Just be careful. And then she told me the first time I ever passed her, which was at the waste management jump. And she goes, "Seeing you come up, I was nervous. And then seeing you jump the jump, I was fine." She was like, "He's got it." And then so he's got it. And then there was a point later on in the event where we couldn't get the car to start at the start of a stage. We weren't at the start line. We were actually in line to start, and we couldn't get the car to start. And I thought it was over. And we got the car to start. We started, and then we going down stage. And I remember later, my crew chief was texting me. We were in the woods. We didn't have service. My crew chief was texting me like, "Hey, bro, you good? Like, it's been 10 minutes and we still haven't seen you or the sweep come by." So I was like, yeah. And so we ran, and then we ended up going by. And I actually very, very, very vividly remember this. There was a hay bale at the stage. There was a hay bale, and I actually have the picture posted on Instagram of me going around the hay bale. And I remember at the end was my mom and my crew chief was standing there, right there. And I remember him putting his arms up like this, like, "Where have you been?" And then we got to the end of the stage. Actually, funny story about that stage. My bolts on my steering wheel were coming loose, and I could actually wiggle the steering wheel around. So I had a Petter Solberg moment.
I was just gonna say, man, we can't be doing Petter Solberg moments in ARA here. You're gonna have your co-driver reach over the ratchet and start tightening the wheel.
And the thing is all of our hex tools were in the back, and like all of our Allen keys were in the back, just like Petter Solberg. And then so my dad, I was like, "Hey, my steering wheel's loose as hell," and he goes, "Well, you better figure out how to tighten it with your fingers." So I just ripped the gloves off, and as I'm driving stage speed. Pulling handbrakes, turning, and everything. So, we got to the end of the stage. We were happy as hell, and
red Loctite after that.
Oh, trust me. Those bolts have the. I had a can of red Loctite when I got home, and I dipped it and then just threaded it in there, dragged off whatever was left. That thing ain't going nowhere. Super special stage or event for us. My dad was my co-driver. That event, we had moments throughout the event where just new team doing new team things throughout the event, but we stayed consistent. We stayed on the road. We didn't crash out, thank God. We ended up getting second in class, and we were like, dude, we were hauling. We were catching cars on stage left and right. We were pulling into the end of the stage control, and we just remember a car pulling in as we were pulling in. So we were just like, okay, I guess we're doing good. And then we would look at the time card before service, and we'd look at the time card and be like, okay, well, we started at this number, and now we've moved up 9 places to this number. So I was like, all right, we're doing good. I think we finished like almost dead last, if not dead last, because we had so many damn penalties. There's actually a meme in the 2-wheel drive max attack for teens on Facebook about us, how many penalties we had. So, just overall, that event right there, we are doing more of this. This isn't
Right.
one rally a year thing. We are doing more of this. And then,
Awesome.
and then from then on, we found out that we had an engine issue before Mountain, and then we thought we fixed it, and then we went to Over Mountain, and then timing belt tensioner went. No oil was getting picked up. There was no oil pressure whatsoever. I remember Hellbender coming around that hairpin, that the tarmac delta that we had there. I remember coming around that, and I remember I was laid on the gas leaving, and then we hit this one. You leave the tarmac delta, and then there's that where it turns to gravel again, and then literally 100 meters after that, it's straight for 800 meters, straight on. And I remember hitting that, and I remember I think I was in 4th or 5th gear. I didn't want to go to 6th because 6th is highway gear. Don't worry about that. And I remember I think it was in 4th gear, and I remember getting the RPMs up, and then just pedal was to the floor, and I just remember watching them drop, and I was like, oh no. And then we ended up there was this bridge section. There was a super hard stump at the end, and then we hit it. We heard something hit. I don't know what it was, but whatever it was, the motor did not like it. And we ended up pulling off to the side. The motor was locked up. I don't know what to do here. We don't have a spare motor.
As the internet would say, it's a Subaru.
yeah. Subaru doing Subaru things. And we got the car back, and then it took me a few months to start working on it again. Definitely, dude, there's I can't even list the things that are different with this car now. Better turbo, new motor. It's rebuilt. It was owned by a 70-year-old couple that drove a Forester, and so it wasn't abused or molested. It's got literally 35,000 miles on it. You might as well call it brand new. Yeah. So I got a gold mine of a motor, of a stock OEM motor, and for the price that I paid for it, there was no turning it down. So we got that. Everything runs off of a push button now. I don't have a key. I lost it. I don't know where it went. So I'm super excited to get to 100 Acre Wood. There's still a few things that we have to work through. Low boost. I don't know what's going on there.
Try a fog test.
Huh?
Try a fog test too. You can make one with a fog machine.
Yeah, I ran one, and there was nothing pre-turbo. I even taped up everything for the intercooler to see if there was a leak in the intercooler. Nothing. And then there was a port that I used somewhere on the right side. I forget what side of the intercooler or the intake manifold. I hooked it up in there, put pressure through it. Nothing. So I'm just really confused as to what it could be. So, running a bunch of tests right now, trying to figure out what it is. But it was funny because it was on the dyno, and my tuner, he goes with numbers like this, go run NA. I was like, he's like, just roll up to tech and just be like, yeah, don't worry about that thing, that turbo, it doesn't work anyway. And I was like, I can't do that. I can't do that. I would be murdered.
The tears were rolling.
Yeah, I mean, Adam at Ecotech, really good guy. Really brought a lot of insight into this as to what it could be. He's a very knowledgeable guy. Helped me switch over some things on the Subaru that I didn't even know I could do just yet. But KJ Miller, big help. Everybody knows KJ. If you see him, give him a Capri Sun.
I'll make sure to buy some.
Yes, absolutely. If you see him, give him a Capri Sun. And then make sure his juice boxes are full and his snacks are packed. Mike McGinnis definitely helped me out a ton there. So just overall, it's been a super good, process. Learned a lot about myself, about building this rally car, about, even competing with it. Patience with motorsports is number one needed essential list on everybody's toolkit. Number one is patience. When something's not going right, take a step back, figure it out, go back. Don't when you start freaking out and you start, oh my God, I got 15 minutes left to put this bolt in. Trust me, I've been there. I've been at that 15-minute mark, and all it was left was one bolt in that one crammed spot. And, all it took for me was to sacrifice 5 minutes, collect my thoughts, think about how I'm going to do it, and do it. Instead of just rushing everything and doing, a half-tail job, you might get somewhere with a, full, clear mind. And
oh, for sure. And that's one of the biggest things, is just being able to almost keep yourself level, especially in some of those situations. So
definitely a clear state of mind with anything is important. And Mike will get into AVRO and why it's important to have a clear state of mind with that. And even just life in general, it's just, you need to have that clear sense of you need to have that clear state of conscious and state of being to do the things that we do. Having that clear state of mind is what allows us as drivers to remember those notes when they happen way back that way. My co-driver,
right 3 double caution. Ooh, I might want to remember that one.
What's that double caution thing? My co-driver, he's pretty good at relaying this information to me at that event. That one was just fun all around. It was a rough, brutal event. It was just rally is just a race of attrition, or the battle of attrition.
I tell you, I've heard many people talk about Over Mountain being really crazy, and I think we might actually have to come in and do a whole podcast just on the experience at Over Mountain, because that was a really amazing event. From everybody I talked to, between the craziness there was the jump on Hellbender that was not so much of a jump, but more of a suspension killer, and it took out 2 people. So it was quite the event. But yeah, no, that's awesome, Lucas. I'm really excited to see all of the cool stuff that's going to happen here with you this year. So 100 Acre Wood's going to be really great. Unfortunately, I wish I won't be able to be there, which kind of sucks. But wish you all the best of luck with that. I know, right? Yeah, trust me, man. I'm crying too. I'm like, man, I was so ready to get to more events. But I had enough of an adventure with Snowdrift as it is. I have to put a new bumper on my vehicle now, and gotta love those Michigan deer out there. So
just make stickers and say Bambi was here.
Yeah.
Bambi was here, well, right there's still fur stuck in the front bumper, and that's just going to stay there until I get a new bumper. But
get a really big vinyl that looks like a Band-Aid.
It's just evidence of a deer space program. That's it.
Well, yeah, except they had a really bad failure to launch. So, but anyway, but yeah, so it was a lot of fun. But I wish you all the best there and all of that stuff. But yeah, so we've got Mike here with us too, with American Veteran Racing Organization, which if you saw recently here, Drop It Gear Industries has teamed up with them. We are sponsoring them, bringing them their content. We're going to get out to as many of the events as we can this year with them to get all of their content, their social media stuff out there, and different things like that. And then you guys will also see a lot more with Lucas as he continues on, because he's also racing with AVRO as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But Mike, you being the guy here running AVRO, let's hear from you now, because we heard all the awesomeness here that Lucas is doing and the things that he's looking to accomplish, and you guys got connected, and me and you have gotten connected as well. So yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself. What was the driving factor for AVRO, and maybe some goals, what we want to do this year, and obviously the main overall mission for AVRO.
Oh, thank you for having me. Yeah, it really started since I was a kid as well. Grew up with NASCAR in the family, drag racing and all that stuff. And then one night when I was supposed to be in bed, I decided to pop on Speed Channel. And I laid my eyes on the WRC for the very first time, and I was hooked like that. I didn't have the opportunity to get involved as much as Lucas did throughout his childhood and his adolescent years and all that. However, I did, check in here and there. I obviously Ken Block and Travis Pastrana, seeing all that stuff was always awesome. And coincidentally, actually, the guy I crew chief for, he's not a veteran. His name's Tom Mayer, drives the 432 car. We actually named the team the OK Rally team, as I believe it was. I don't think it was his first turn at New England, but one of the turns, and he just started his first race or whatever, and made the turn, hit a rock, and flipped the car upside down. And so there was a picture of him sitting on top of the car with the OK sign, as you're supposed to. So we named it the OK Rally team, and I've been his crew chief for the last 4 or 5 years now. Been to a lot of rally and stuff. So in a sense, even though I haven't raced myself yet, it's been living a dream for sure. Now I'm involved with a lot of veteran programs. I travel over the country, talk to veterans from all other states, whether it's from, it's sad to say, but suicide prevention to just guidance, how to get through some certain situations or how to approach different situations. We've been, always in the public eye of how do you want to say, just always trying to help. And I was a junior firefighter at 15. I did the firefighter boot camp and stuff. And then, joined the military at 27 even. And I was a military police officer there. And it just was something that clicked with me. And my career, unfortunately, was cut short. So I felt that this is the best way to do is to reach out to other veterans and provide, in any way. And, I've been involved with a hockey program since 2019. And that's where I did a lot of my traveling and learning how to put together, programs or put together a way to get guys out, and AVRO is not just about racing, as you guys will learn and you guys, actually have a little bit easier where it's not a sudden change. You do have to live a civilian life at the same time as well, doing your duties as a soldier. But a lot of veterans have a hard time transitioning from the soldier life to being a civilian again. And it's not easy. I find myself after 6 years of being out, 7 years, it's still challenging at times. So these programs are meant to help that transition, getting other veterans or other soldier members involved in a team atmosphere, that camaraderie, the battle. With rally, for example, we may have a 30-minute window to compete, and I say compete, but complete these repairs to a vehicle, where most people look at it and be like, there's no way. I have my co-driver. What's that?
I was a mechanic for a long time, and sometimes it's like, man, this job here says it takes 45 minutes to replace this control arm. And you watch guys in service, and they replace control arms, complete suspensions in like 10 minutes.
Funny story. So before you said that, actually, my co-driver, Jared Nix, he's been crewing with us for a while, and he's been in the rally for a really long time. Super knowledgeable guy. He was my crew, or he's crewing with me and Tom, and he was at Snowdrift last year. Put it into a bank. Control arm actually got jammed back, and I think we got it done in 19 minutes or something like that, and fixed the suspension and stuff. And then literally the next month, I was crew chiefing for Tony Lacey, who helped me out a lot, and you gentlemen know who he is. Did the same thing at Sandblast, and I think I was done in about 11 minutes completely. A complete control arm swapped out, torqued down, everything ready to go. And the funny story of that is that Tony said he gained speed after I repaired his car from what it was before he even broke it. Because he actually went from dead last to finishing second place overall in the event. So, but yeah, it brings a lot of, teamwork, that competitive nature, and then, the camaraderie. And, with everything that's gone on over the last 4 years and even prior, you need those moments to escape the everyday BS. And that's where like hockey came in for me. Every time I was on the ice inside that glass, everything outside did not matter anymore. The troubles that I was dealing with, and not to mention the men and women that play hockey with me. So I was involved with another program, as you both know, I don't know if it's probably appropriate to bring up the name. It's not that anything went wrong. It's just I don't know what's going on with it.
That's fair.
I felt that there was a gap that needed to be bridged, and I feel like I'm one of the best people that can do that. I truly believe that, and I met Lucas and I was like, okay, we can do this, and then Tony actually brought you and I together, Matt. And I saw that, as I said, actually a few times in our chat, we got the right pieces to the puzzle to complete this puzzle. We have the right people involved now. Now we have Jillian Barr from K.I.A. She's like the secretary for them. And she's jumped in and, she's, shown what she can do for you guys in the program. And she's really excited. Coincidentally enough, her best friend's boyfriend is Tom Mayer. And we didn't know that when we met. Literally, I'm talking about what I want to do. And she pulls up pictures, goes, do you know this guy? I'm like, do I know this guy? I've been under that car, no, so it's the best way I can describe how everything's come together with you guys, with Jill and everyone else that's involved is, people say you can't get rich overnight, you can't get famous overnight. And to me personally, with all you guys' help, everyone else that's also helped in the background, I feel like I've gotten rich or famous overnight. I've gotten so lucky to have you guys around. So, and it's really important because one of the biggest things that we don't have is the outreach all the time. The VA can only do so much. A therapist can only do so much for you, or a counselor. And I want to redirect people away from substance abuse or using alcohol to solve their problems. So doing these kinds of things is important, and having the right people involved is extremely important. So everything that I've been through over the last, since pretty much 2019, and then even before that, has led up to this, and is very important to me. And I want to make sure that, everything I do benefits everybody else, not myself, but it benefits everyone else that I come across, and we bring people together and it just grows. As far as goals, obviously I would love to have our own track up here, as Lucas and I have talked, where we can run our own events, just get together, whether it's the boys or have a whole bunch of people come out, civilians or veterans, and run that.
Is that farmer going to let us buy that field where you've been doing those testing videos?
We're going to be testing there in May. We're going to be testing there in May and June. The location has to stay quiet, as unfortunately he has some neighbors that don't believe that even if you own that much property, you should be allowed to do whatever you would like to do. So I'm also trying to find alternate locations where we can have a lot of people come out. As you guys know, and I know you're not Buffalo Bills fans, but I've teamed up with Deion Dawkins from the Buffalo Bills. He's a player for them, as many people might not know. And he's very interested in motorsports. He runs Snow Motorsports, and he does drifting. And he's, he appreciates the efforts that I've put forward to help veterans in the local area. So we're working on that in the background and trying to do some other events. And actually one of the guys in our program, Justin, he does drifting. And you guys may not know this, but I'm actually working on a full entire sponsorship for him and his ride. His car's paid for, but they want to team up with him because obviously the drifting aspect. They are also currently building a rallycross track in the back. I don't have a date for it. So if the other stuff doesn't work out, Lucas, maybe by the time you're back, we'll be able to run that and definitely have some fun. But other goals, my biggest goal that I want to accomplish for you guys and everyone else that may come across is I want to have a facility where we can run a school out of, teach veterans how to fabricate, weld, wiring, anything. Excuse me. And that's my biggest goal is to make sure I give back in any way possible, not necessarily always racing or going to events and stuff like that, but to provide a platform or education or something they can use to better their life, not just around the racetrack or race cars, outside, help take care of their families. I know there's things out there already, but I mean, I know veterans that they just don't want to be around regular people. They don't, so they'll pass up these opportunities they may have because they don't want to be around other people, that may not understand or can relate to what they've went through. So, that's definitely the biggest goal for me. Hopefully, down the road we can achieve that.
Dude, and I'm all for it. I mean, we talked at length for a little while here before all of this and things like that after Overmountain and stuff, after Tony introduced us. And even when I had the chance of talking with Tony and those things beforehand and helping those guys out, like, yeah, like these programs, I've seen that gap. I've seen that lack of essentially those services. And a lot of people don't realize just how much motorsports therapy can be a thing, which actually I posted on my LinkedIn page about our recent, partnership with you guys. And it was interesting. One of the comments that I got was actually from like a health and wellness group or something on LinkedIn that was, basically said motorsports therapy is a very effective way of treating certain things. And I was like, man, I'm just little old me. And that they saw that. So, I'm excited for that. And, you talking about giving back is a very big thing for me, because anybody who's been on this channel for the last couple months has kind of seen the shift in how I've been doing things. I really just wanted to get that message out for a long time about what Drop a Gear wanted to do and what I aim to do with Drop a Gear. And I felt like it wasn't going where I was hoping, because like I want to give back to the motorsports community, not just for our veteran motorsports lovers, right? But I want to give back to the entire motorsports community, because I see shortfalls even in there. You've got guys that are brand new into the sport, and they got nowhere to go. They have no idea where to go. And I hate to bring up a specific channel, but there are groups of people out there that are in this sport, and some of these people are kind of little salty to new people. And so I really just want to, yeah, right. And so like, I want to kind of give back to the motorsports community, but being a big car guy, that's kind of how this whole thing started and whatnot. So I wanted to try and change that. And when the opportunity to kind of find a pathway to do so became, the social channels and all that stuff, I thought, well, my inspiration, just like Lucas, comes from a lot of the stuff from Ken Block and the Hoonigan days and all of that stuff, right? And ironically, while you're talking about that, Lucas, you're talking about your first car. The first thing that popped in my head was, oh man, Brian Scotto would love you for rallying that car, because he's a big Volkswagen guy, and I think he's more of a Mark I guy, but I think he would appreciate it and stuff like that. But I kind of wanted to tailor things with that and move in that direction to give back. And the stuff that you started talking about, Mike, really got me excited about it, because now I'm looking at it from, I can use Drop a Gear to also give back in other ways other than to just the motorsports community. The three of us being veterans, we also have a big pool of people that we can, support and help. And that alone is a big thing to me, because that's still doing exactly what I want to do. And that's giving back to others, through what I can do with social media, with racing, with content, all of those things, which is why, again, for those who are, on the podcast for the first time, if you haven't seen the posts about it, one of the biggest things that Drop a Gear Industries is going to do is not only are we providing the social media content coverage, the different content creation, the editing, all of that stuff for AVRO, and the different drivers that come on and support AVRO and, drive under the AVRO name or throw the AVRO logo on their car. We're going to help get those guys the exposure out there. One of the big things that Drop a Gear is going to do on top of providing that social content. And so for every one of our subscriptions that we have, because we have 2 subscription tiers on Patreon, For each one of those tiers, every quarter, I'm going to take 10% of all of that income, and it's going to go right to AVRO, because that is the other way that Drop a Gear can give back to helping AVRO obtain their goals, and that, we can help bridge those gaps and all those different things. Where is that dinging coming from?
It's somebody texting my computer, and
I was going to say, blame the kid.
I have no clue how to get rid of it.
Well, the first time it happened, you were like, and then it was like, bing, and I'm like, is this thing like playing sound effects based on gestures now? But
apparently I just sorry to kind of cut you off, but
no, I was good where I was at, but
I got invited to this thing. Well, I wouldn't say I was invited. Jared Nix, your co-driver, mentioned this to me, and apparently my car is going to be in the in a booth for Outside Groove Racing Show this weekend in Knoxville, Tennessee. So my car will be there, and that kind of just got confirmed like 10 minutes ago. So that's kind of what I've been looking away for.
Nice.
But yeah, apparently my car is going to be there now, and now I really have to bring this thing back together in the next day. Yeah.
Listen, if it makes you feel any better, my car is sitting in a barn on jack stands because I need to pull the trans out and replace the clutch. And the other car that I'm considering rallying after being at Snowdrift is still broken with a bad motor.
The hatchback, the WRX?
The little K car.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I'll double check and see about that Hayabusa motor and trans for you.
Oh boy, that'll be fun. And so the thing is, I wouldn't rally that car then. I actually was thinking about it after going to Snowdrift. There was a Fiat 500 Abarth there, right? It was driven by Fabrizio Mirandola. I don't know if you guys know the name.
I couldn't even pronounce that.
Yeah, me either.
Ironically, I had it here on my notes, so I could still remember it. But no, he was up there, and I watched him at Snowdrift, and I was like, the guy's rallying a Fiat 500. You can't autocross those things because they're a rollover hazard. But he's out here sliding it around. And I'm like, well, my Vivio is about the same size. It's actually a little smaller than the Abarth. And I'm like, well, it's all-wheel drive. I think it'd be fun. Yeah, it only makes 65 horsepower, but it'd still be a lot of fun to see that thing rip through as the last car before the sweep car or something, or maybe make it a sweep car. But
or the sweep car catches you.
Or the sweep car sweeps me up and puts me in the bed of the truck.
You could use an F-250, the bed of it, and just throw the car right there. You never have to buy a trailer.
So I'm actually trying to find somebody with a truck because I know the width, I know what it'll fit. If I can find somebody whose wheel arches are the right height, I literally will drive that car into the back of a pickup truck.
So U-Haul sells their trucks, their box trucks, for cheap.
Oh, I know. Dude, those are some things that man, yeah, we can go on and on and on off camera about all of that nonsense.
I've thought about it for the longest time too. U-Haul truck as a service truck. Absolutely.
Oh, I mean, dude, and that's honestly, I mean, I've been looking at that. I've been looking at old flatbeds. Just pick up an old flatbed, use that. You can throw the car on it. If it's got a winch on it, man, if you break the thing, you just winch it up.
So I did tell Tom Mayer, he thought I was joking. I'm going to put some disco lights in my car. So when we're running at night, I'm going to flip them on. So you see, the old ones, the ball spinning. Oh yeah, I'm going to be that guy.
That's actually really funny because for any of you that are watching this and you're going to be at 100 Acre Wood, this is actually a little sneak peek, a little surprise we have. So we are bringing back the logos back onto the car for 100 Acre. We didn't have that at Overmountain, but we had it at STPR. But there is a new-ish logo design that I came out with, or that I'm coming out with, and it will be lined in LED lights. And that way, on the night stage, we flick them on, and you'll see ghosts on the side of the car in pitch dark.
There's a guy that runs, I think, a Mark 5 Golf.
Yeah, I know who you're talking
ones
about.
That go up the top of the car.
Yes, I know who you're talking about. Chicane Rally Team. Chicane Rally Team. I know exactly who you're talking about. I can't think of his name.
It's a black car with blue lights.
Him and I went head to head at Overmountain at the little super special that they had.
Nice.
But yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Well, if you saw any of the stuff coming out of Snowdrift this year, there was I can't remember the driver or the number right now, but I think it was a VB chassis Subaru. He had a board on the back door that said "You look good," and it would light up. Yeah, and the whole time, every time he would drive past the spectators, he would turn it on and be flashing. I didn't catch any good shots of it, but like it was a couple of shots where, like through Bonfire, you could see the last second as he's blitzing off my camera that he did that.
That's a TRF car. I don't remember his name either, but I remember seeing that car on TRF's Instagram. But yeah, that's a TRF car.
Yep. But
yeah, I mean, like we've got a lot of things that are in the bag for this event, and you just got to be there to see it.
Oh man. Well, I'm going to enjoy it. Unfortunately, from Instagram and Facebook and all of the stuff there from the guys that post stuff. All right, guys. Well, it's been quite an evening here on the Gearbusters podcast, and so I just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, W Energy. That gives us our jitterless energy blend to help us get through all of these crazy podcasts and all the long nights of editing and all the crazy stuff that we do in motorsports. We'll let Lucas shout out to his favorite sponsors and Mike here.
So thank you guys for watching. I just wanted to shout out, obviously, Ghostface Racing. Follow us on Instagram, go at Ghostface Racing. Want to give a huge thank you again to crew chief Dustin Thompson, my co-driver Gage Gregory, my mom, family, everybody. Definitely want to give a big shout out to AVRO. Mike, thanks for bringing me along and us as Ghostface along for the trip. And I look forward to seeing all of you at 100 Acre Wood.
All right, well, I'll pick up from here. So I want to say thank you to Jason Jaskula from K.I.A. and 13 Monkeys. I'm actually wearing one of his shirts here. Absolutely awesome, dude. He's picked up and he believes in my mission and what I'm trying to do here and achieve. And he's worked very hard to do what he's done for our community as well, and our veterans and families that have lost their loved ones overseas. So, thank you guys for all your hard work. Thank you for having me on, Matt. I look forward to what the future may bring us. I think with our hard work, we can get this done. So appreciate you guys and thank you and have a good night.
Awesome, man. Well, yeah, it's been a blast, you guys. I'm glad you guys could come on to the podcast. It's been a lot of fun with everything here. I'll have everybody's social links in the description. You'll be able to find all the different stuff here. There'll be a little slide if you're watching from the Patreon channel or on YouTube. There'll be a slide here at the end here that just has a kind of quick link rundown of everything here as well. But thanks for tuning in. That'll conclude our episode on the Gearbusters podcast. Have a good night, guys.